कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत् नष्टप्रायेषु भद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय देवकीनन्दनाय च नन्दगोपकुमाराय गोविन्दाय नमो नमः. Hare Krishna. So thank you everyone very much for joining today's uh, Bhagavad Gita Sangha. So I have been instructed to read from Bhagavad Gita chapter number 2 verse number 45. This is one of the very difficult topic which I personally feel for me. So I will explain why also. Uh, okay, I will recite the verse and maybe then someone can after me recite. त्रैगुण्य विषया वेदा निस्त्रैगुण्यो भवार्जुन निर्द्वन्द्वो नित्यसत्त्वस्थो निर्योगक्षेम आत्मवान्. Someone like to recite?
Yeah, Haribol. त्रिगुण्या विश्ववेदा निस्त्रैगुण्यो भवार्जुना निर्द्वन्द्वो नित्यसत्त्वस्थो निर्योगक्षेम आत्मवन्.
Someone else like to recite? Baba? Okay. So I will read synonyms. Trigunya, pertaining to the three modes of material nature. Vishaya, on the subject matter. Veda, Vedic literatures. Nistraigunya, transcendental to the three modes of material nature. Bhava, be. Arjuna, O Arjuna, Nirdvandha, without duality. Nitya Sattvastha, in a pure state of spiritual existence. Niryoga Kshemaha, free from ideas of gain and protection. Atmavan, established in the self. Translation. The Vedas deal mainly with the subject of the three modes of material nature. O Arjuna, become transcendental to these three modes, be free from all dualities and from all anxieties for gain and safety, and be established in the self. Purports by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. All material activities involve actions and reactions in the three modes of material nature. They are meant for fruitive results, which cause bondage in the material world. The Vedas deal mostly with fruitive activities to gradually elevate the general public from the field of sense gratification to a position on the transcendental plane. Arjuna, as a student and friend of Lord Krishna, is advised to raise himself to the transcendental position of Vedanta philosophy, where in the beginning there is Brahma Jignasa, or questions on the supreme transcendence. All in the material world are struggling very hard for existence. For them, the Lord, after creation of the material world, gave Vedic wisdom advising how to live and get rid of the material entanglement. When the activities for sense gratification, namely the Karma Kanda chapter, are finished, then the chance for spiritual realization is offered in the form of Upanishads, which are part of different Vedas. As Bhagavad Gita is a part of fifth Veda, namely the Mahabharata, the Upanishads mark the beginning of transcendental life. As long as material body exists, there are actions and reactions in the material modes. One has to learn tolerance in the face of dualities such as happiness and distress or cold and warmth, and by tolerating such dualities become free from anxieties regarding gain and loss. This transcendental position is achieved in full Krishna consciousness when one is fully dependent on the good will of Krishna. Haribol. Om Ajnantimirandasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaः Shri Chaitanya Manovistam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kada Mahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri पदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातां सगण रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधाकृष्णपादान् सगण ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिनिति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे नमो महावदन्याय कृष्ण प्रेम प्रदायते कृष्णाय कृष्ण चैतन्य नामने गौरत्विषे नमः हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगतपते गोपेशा गोपिका कांता राधा कांता नमोस्तुते तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिय वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधार श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे. So Hare Krishna, thank you everyone very much for joining today. And honestly speaking, today's verse is the most difficult verse for me because it is dealing with the modes of material nature and how to transcend from them. And personally speaking, I am actually prominently in mode of ignorance. So if I go somewhere deviated while trying to repeat what Prabhupada has said, what my spiritual master has said, please feel free to interrupt me. Please feel free to correct me. So basically, Krishna is telling here to Arjuna that the Vedas, they primarily deal with the subject of three modes of material nature. And the goal of Krishna consciousness is basically to go above these three modes of material nature. And by going above these three modes of material nature, what essentially happens is one becomes free from all dualities and get rid of all the anxieties which are there in our lives. So what are three modes of material nature? Srila Prabhupada also has written a separate book on this, the modes of material nature. So the three modes of material nature which Krishna describes in Bhagavad Gita 17 chapter are Sattva Gun or the mode of goodness, Rajas Gun or Rajasic Gun which is mode of passion, and Tamasic Gun or the mode of ignorance. So scriptures describe the characteristics also of these three modes. For example, the mode of ignorance, it is characterized by alasya and pramad. Alasya means laziness and pramad means madness. So the anything which is in mode of ignorance will have these two characteristics in prominence, laziness and madness. Similarly, mode of passion is primarily shown by a very strong dissipation to achieve something and a very strong sex desire. So these are the some of the characteristics of mode of passion. And the best mode to stay in is mode of goodness. So mode of goodness is basically characterized by happiness and knowledge. So Prabhupada mentions in various purports also of Bhaktivedanta purport that one should try to be as much as possible into the mode of goodness, because mode of goodness is the most favorable mode in which the devotional service can be performed. So uh, if we see world around us, so anything, it will have some mode, either goodness, passion or ignorance. So for example, even the place we live in, so it is described in scriptures that the forests, they are in mode of goodness. And that's why if we see in the previous ages, the saints, the sages, the rishis, they used to go to forest to do the tapasya and to attain perfection of life or whatever yoga they were practicing, they used to have their ashrams made in forests, because forest is prominently in mode of goodness. So that's why they used to have it like that. Then mode of passion is shown by desire, a strong desire for achieving something and enjoying the fruits of result, having strong sex desire. So these symptoms we can see in some ordinary city. Primarily, practically everyone is prominently in mode of passion. And similarly, if we look in some brothel or some bar, or so we will see there that people are doing any crazy stuff, and without knowing that particular thing will be harmful for them, they are doing it, and they are also facing harm, and they are causing others also harm. So such is, this is madness basically. And so the brothels and prostitute clubs and all these stuff, they are in mode of ignorance. Even if the food, if we see, it is also characterized into three kinds. For example, uh, mode of ignorance, we have meat and flesh of different kinds of organism which are brutally killed in some slaughterhouses, and people are eating that. And the mode of passion is basically characterized by too spicy food, too pungent food, too much sweet. So these are all characteristic of mode of passion. And mode of goodness is, Krishna describes that it is, how to say, uh, not too very salty, not too, it is a balanced diet basically. So Krishna is telling here Arjuna that we have to get rid of these three modes of material nature, and we have to come above it. So coming above it means we have to include Krishna's component into it. So Prabhupada also told that any activity if we do by dovetailing them to Krishna's service, then they become transcendental, or they they are the activities which are performed above the three modes of material nature. For example, temple. Temple is transcendental in nature. If we stay in temple, then it is actually above three modes of material nature. And practically every one of us would have felt when we visit temple that it is something very special place to go in. Similarly, prasad, or the food which is offered to Krishna, it is transcendental to the three modes of material nature. It is liberating. And if we take prasad, then basically it helps us to uh, get above the three modes of material nature. And even Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita that anyone eats whatever kind of food, if it is not offered to Krishna, then such a person eats only sin. So some sinful reaction will be always there, because some violence is involved when we, how to say, take food from our material nature. But if we offer it to Krishna, then what happens is all the sin is nullified, and that's how the food uh, comes above the modes of three modes of material nature, and helps us to become more Krishna conscious. So even in Vishnu, this Padma Puran, it is said that Annam Vishtam Jalam Mutram Yat Vishnorna Nuvedanam. So Padma Puran states a very high standard that Annam Vishtam, the food is like stool, and the water is like urine, which is not offered not offered to Lord Krishna or Vishnu, and which has been consumed. So it is just a sin. So that's why offering of food is very important. So offering doesn't take much time. We can just spend some 5 minutes before, after cooking and before eating, and just keep it in front of Krishna's photo or Gaur-Nitai's photo, or whatever form of Lord Vishnu is there, and we have to just recite some mantra 3 times, which are very easily available on internet also. And if we just do that, and that means we are including Krishna also into that, and we can get delivered. So the three modes of material nature are very difficult to overcome. That also Krishna tells in Bhagavad Gita. And the only way to overcome them is dovetailing whatever activity we do in Krishna consciousness. For example, if we like drawing or painting, then we can draw Krishna's picture, and we can draw Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's picture, or the pictures of their pastimes, or pictures glorifying how Krishna is the Supreme Lord. If someone likes to sing, then they can sing devotional songs. We have so many devotional poems, Hare Krishna melody, and so many things are there which we can have. If someone likes to read, then we can read Prabhupada books, and we can try to understand the divine knowledge which he has given. If we like to cook, then we can cook for Krishna, offer it to him, and then take the prasad. If we like to meditate, then we can do japa. Japa is the best form of meditation which is possible in this age of Kali Yuga. If we like to dance, then we have the dancing kirtans also. So now eventually the temple will open and we will have dancing kirtans, so we can do that also. And if someone likes to watch videos, then we can watch some Krishna conscious video. For example, recently there was a movie of Prabhupada, Swami, the chanting the Hare Krishna mantra, some about Prabhupada. There was a movie, so Raghav Prabhu shared the link also with us, so we can watch the videos which are relevant to Krishna consciousness, or our acharyas like Prabhupada, Ramanujacharya, Madhvacharya, or about our sampradaya. So many things are there. So that's what is the principle of overcoming about the three modes of material nature, that we have to dovetail whatever activities and propensities which we have them such that it become Krishna consciousness. For example, Arjuna was on the verge of war, so he was saying that no, I don't want to fight because it will kill my own kinsmen. But then Krishna said that if you fight for me, then it will become above the three modes of material nature. So there will be, of course, no sin incurred for that. And since you will be satisfying me, so you will immediately get liberation also from the three modes of material nature, and you will come to me. So that's what is the principle. Even Srila Prabhupada also gives one very beautiful, how to say, analogy or example, that whatever talents, capabilities, and propensities which we have, they are all like big zeros, and they have no value despite of however big zero is there or how many number of zeros are there. But including Krishna is our life in our lives is like putting one in front of all these activities. So if we put one before whatever number of zeros which we have, then they become valuable. So that's what is the principle. Even Srimad Bhagavatam also says that na utpadayet ratim shrama eva hi kevalam, that if something, whatever activity we do, if it doesn't how to say, evokes the propensity to serve Krishna or to love Krishna, then it is just a waste of time and just a useless labor. Okay, so one more very important point I recently heard from one of my senior devotees is the types of ignorance which are there in this material world. So as per Srimad Bhagavatam, I'm not sure whether it is third canto or fifth canto, but either of these two cantos, the five types of ignorances are described. The first one is tama, which means we don't know who we are. Then the second type of ignorance is moh, so considering one to be body. Then third is mahamoh, which means attachment and false proprietorship. Tamishram, anger out of frustration. And then andha tamishram, which means sense of confronting this anger and being entangled into it. So these are the five kinds of ignorances which are described in our scriptures. But honestly speaking, I am not very much able to understand all these five. But there are four kinds of ignorances which are described by Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur also in his book Bhajan Rahasya. So the five ignorances are Swatattva Vibrama. That means the ignorance of who one individual is or who am I. When a person doesn't know that, that is called Swatattva Vibrama. Then second is Paratattva Vibrama. That means the person doesn't know anything superior to this more material nature. He doesn't know that there is some God also. So this kind of ignorance is called Paratattva Vibrama. And the third is Sadhana Sadhya Vibrama. That means how to attain Krishna. So even if one knows that I am not body, but I am the soul, and even if one knows that there is supreme God Krishna, still if he doesn't know that how to attain Krishna, then that kind of ignorance is called Sadhana Sadhya Vibrama. And then there is Virodhi Vishay Vibrama. Virodhi Vishay Vibrama means one doesn't know what is favorable for Krishna consciousness and what is unfavorable for Krishna consciousness. So these are the four kinds of ignorances which are described by Bhaktivinoda Thakur in his book Bhajan Rahasya under the chapter of Agyan Vritti. So these are very much clear to me. So in this way, one of the personal realization which I have is the acharyas, they are much more merciful than Krishna, because Srimad Bhagavatam, the five kinds of ignorances which are described, I mean, it's very difficult for me to understand that how they are mutually exhaustive and what is the difference between them. But the ignorances which Bhaktivinoda Thakur has described, they are very clear to me. So that's what it is. And one more very interesting point which is mentioned here, that if one comes above the three modes of material nature, then one becomes free from all the dualities and from all the anxieties for gain and safety. So this also we can see very much into the lives of Krishna conscious devotee, because when someone is Krishna conscious, so Rup Goswami also tells that he accepts what is favorable for Krishna consciousness and he rejects what is unfavorable for Krishna consciousness. So this is how the dualities of the nature are removed. Because why the duality come? Because the living entity try to see any object from the perspective that how I can enjoy it in a much better fashion. I can enjoy it more in this fashion or more in that fashion. So this is the duality. But if someone comes above the three modes of material nature, then one understands that there is no point in trying to enjoying in this material world. And best thing is try to engage more and more into Krishna consciousness. So in that way, the duality of these modes of material nature is automatically dissipated. And as soon as one dissipates this duality, then automatically all kinds of anxiety for gain and safety, they go away, and one becomes completely peaceful. In fact, if we look into the 7th canto, Prahlad Maharaj also describes that the only way of being happy into this material world is that try to stop to become happy. That is the only way. And try to engage. And what it means, that we should try to engage our senses not in serving them, but in serving Krishna. Rishikesha, what is that verse? Rishikena Rishikesha Sevanam Bhaktiruchyate. Bhaktiruttama. That we should try to engage our senses into the service of master of senses, who is Rishikesh. Rishikesh means Krishna. So through that way, we can come above the influence of these three modes of material nature and get rid of the dualities and all anxieties in our life. So the anxieties, again, they manifest into our life in three ways, in the form of Adi Bhautik, Adhyatmik, and Adi Devik. So if we perform devotional service very staunchly, we will find that we become so much absorbed in serving Krishna that all these three things becomes very much irrelevant into our life. And that doesn't mean that we should give up our prescribed duty, but that means that we should try to give our best into the prescribed duties, and whatever result of performance of prescribed duties we get, we should try to engage them also in Krishna's service. And hmm, also Srimad Bhagavatam goes much more into this understanding of three modes of material nature in the third canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, in which there is a conversation between Lord Kapila and his mother Devahuti. So what happens is Brahma creates the father of mankind, who is Manu. So one of the prominent Manu is Swayambhu Manu, and Swayambhu Manu had a daughter whose name was Devahuti, and this Devahuti basically was at the age of marriage. Swayambhu Manu was trying to find a suitable uh, man for her. So there was a very great sage who was Kardama Muni, and he was performing a lot of tapasya, and he was having a desire of getting married in his heart. So Lord Vishnu appeared to him and said that I understand that what is your desire, and very soon you will be able to get a suitable match, and I personally will appear as your son. So Kardama Muni was eventually approached by Swayambhu Manu, and Swayambhu Manu, how to say, he gave in charity his daughter Devahuti to Kardama Muni, and both of them got married. And Kardama Muni was basically a very austere person. So Devahuti, being a chaste wife, she also started doing a lot of austerity, following in his footsteps. And then Kardama Muni became very pleased with her, and then he gave her all kinds of benedictions and all kinds of material pleasures. And then eventually they got 9 daughters. Then he begot 9 daughters in her womb, and the 10th was Lord Kapila. And Lord Kapila is basically one of the prominent incarnation of Lord Vishnu, and the major, how to say, knowledge which Lord Kapila propagated was the knowledge of Sankhya philosophy. And this Sankhya philosophy actually deals in very much depth with the interaction of three modes of material nature, and the concept of pradhan, and the concept of prakriti, and so many things. It's very difficult for a foolish person like me to understand that, and I'm not very well versed, but it's very philosophical. And Srila Prabhupada also has written a very special book on this subject matter. It is called The Teachings of Lord Kapila. And so the basic principle which he established through that book was uh, the God can be approached. This even Krishna also tells in Bhagavad Gita that supreme absolute truth can be uh, achieved in two ways. First, by directly accepting Krishna to be supreme absolute truth and accepting the path of devotional service through the 9 processes of devotional service: Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, Padasevanam, Archanam, Vandanam, Dasyam, Sakyam, Atmanivedanam. Or there is one more way, that we try to analyze this material world, the 24 elements, and then eventually come to a conclusion that there is supreme absolute truth behind all this. So, but our Acharya have been very merciful, and they have recommended that we directly accept Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, dovetail everything in His service, and then we will attain perfection of life for sure at the end of our life. But if we try to go from Sankhya perspective, actually, first of all, it takes a lot of time, and specifically in this age of Kali Yuga, it's very difficult to attain knowledge through that. So that's why it's difficult. But yes, it is always very interesting to know what is Sankhya philosophy, but it's very philosophical, so I am not very well versed in that. But the simplest method which has been shared for the age of Kali Yuga is the chanting of the holy names: Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And if we do this and just keep continuing performing our prescribed duties, then automatically our all the activities, they will eventually start getting dovetailing to Krishna consciousness, and one will get rid of the dualities of material nature and will attain perfection of life. Okay, so it is 7:32. I will stop here. So if someone has some correction for me, feedback for me. Am I audible?
Yes, yes, Prabhuji.
Yes,
Okay,
yes.
okay.
Thank you, Prabhuji, for the beautiful class.
Yes, yes,
Nice lecture.
yes. Very well, thank you, Guruji. Any question anyone has?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Yes, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So I had question about the offering. I will just take an example as offering food for Krishna. When we say
Yes,
these offering mantras, Srila
yes,
Prabhupada, and then Gaur Nitai. So this is
yes.
how it is meant to offer the food for Krishna. But is it the same way? I mean, normally what is recommended for us who have a Guru Maharaj or Srila Prabhupada who are not initiated, we have to everything offer everything whatever we do um, in the same way to Krishna, or we can offer with heart also. Just
Yes,
by saying the mantras or through heart felt prayers also it is fine.
yes. So this is a very good question. So actually, I can give example of my father. He also is in the call. So my father, when he was working, so he has to take care of a whimsical child like me also. He has to take care of his family also, and he has to take care of his office also. So
Mm-hmm.
so
Yeah.
what I observed in him was uh, when he came into devotional service almost 5-6 years back only. So whenever he used to get time, he always used to offer to Krishna. But when the time is not possible, because there was a time when he had to stay alone and he was single, and he has to cook also, this also, that also, and sometimes he has to eat outside also. So specifically when it comes to eating outside, then we cannot offer, like we cannot keep a photo of Krishna and then offer with bell and all the achman and this all things we cannot do practically. That is not practical. So that time we can certainly offer uh, mentally. But otherwise, if I try to see example of my father, whom I have learned a lot of things, so I
Mm-hmm.
see that whenever he takes any food, he always first go to the altar, and there he offers chanting the mantra, and he wait for 5 minutes, and then he again starts. And even I also try to do like that. So
Mm-hmm.
100%, of course, its perfection is always not always possible, but we should try our best to do it.
Okay. But is it only the for food, or for everything whatever I do throughout the day, whatever actions I do as service for Krishna, whether it is my occupational duty or anything, should I offer these things also in the same way?
So the chanting of Hare Krishna mantra basically means that we are actually dovetailing everything in Krishna consciousness, because what distinguishes a devotee from a non-devotee is chanting, basically, specifically in this age of Kali Yuga, because that is the yajna which is provided for this age of Kali Yuga. And for example, occupational duties. Now, occupational duties, how we can offer to Krishna? By doing some charity, because that's the fruit which we obtain from performance of the occupational duty. Similarly, we can perform some services which we are very good at. For
Mm-hmm.
example, if you see, Raghav Prabhu is very good in technical aspects, so he give
Mm-hmm.
technical service. My father is very good in communicating with others, so he do lot of book distribution in my hometown. Similarly, if you see Amrit Gauranga Prabhu, he is very good in sharing the pastimes of Krishna, or giving very nice lecture, making very nice presentation. He do like that. Your example also, you can see that you make nice garlands or serve in temple by washing plates. So this is what is recommended. I mean, more than that, what we can do finally. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, thanks, Prabhu.
Hari Bol, Hari Bol.
Hari.
Someone else? Okay, then if no question, then thank you very much for tolerating me, and thank you very much. Let's meet later. Okay, Hari Bol,
Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you very much.
Hari Bol, Hari Bol.
Hare Krishna.
Oh.